anyone like to be recognized at this time? The podium. Please give your name and address for the record and keep your remarks at 3 minutes, please.
Good evening. Name is John Clevey, 829 Richards Avenue. I view a number of meetings online. I go through the meeting packets and I read through the newspaper on the coverage of the meetings. And when there's something that says that this doesn't seem right, I do my own fact check. And one of the topics was late last year in the fall was concerning Lake Victoria and Hayden Pond. In January, I sent off email to the DNR. Part of it is stating, could you please tell me who legally owns Lake Victoria and Hayden Pond in Watertown? If there are any issues concerning these two ponds, weed and algae control, etc., what entity, who is responsible to take care of them? What role does a DNR have regarding these two ponds? I did receive emails back. The last one was, and I only have 3 minutes, so I'm just reading. The lake and pond are not within DNR's Chapter 30 jurisdiction. It appears the city of Watertown owns the lake and pond based off the county GIS available to me. Working with a couple engineering firms on a couple projects, I have been told that what GIS stands for is get it surveyed. And so I did my other detective work. And I found out, I went down to the Register of Deeds and I used their computer, their software, and I came up with who has ownership of that property out there. Going back to the Lake Victoria and Hayden Pond, I looked into city code ordinance. This was taken back in the minutes from June of 2016 from the Public Works Commission. Review Ruckert and Milky proposal to study Lake Victoria and Hayden Pond. And also on November 17th, from the same Public Works Commission, Hayden Pond options and engineering for street department. And both of them were, the minutes were written by Alderman Berg when he was on the commission at that time. And then there was that it went through and Ruckert and Milky was awarded that they should do a study, and November 2018, it comes up with the study in detail. And just to read one quick sentence, it says, city staff and officials have received numerous concerns from residents about the condition of Hayden Pond, particularly when compared to Lake Victoria. So there have been issues going back a number of years. And then I looked on the city code and ordinance also. It's under Chapter 453, Stormwater Management, Article 3, 453-32 or 33, and lack of long-term maintenance of stormwater best management practices can lead to malfunction or failure of the practice, resulting in flooding, damage to public infrastructure, nuisance conditions, property damage, reduced property value, environmental degradation, and other adverse impacts upstream or downstream of the BMP. So just going through this stuff, I would consider Lake Victoria and Hayden Pond as a glorified retention pond. So there is in this art or chapter that the city is requesting public and private owners that if they have a retention or detention ponds, that they have to have a maintenance program on file with the engineering department. And I hope I'm correct on stating that. Pardon me?
You can draw your remarks to a close.
And, so I'm thinking that, so what has the city done to Lake Victoria and Hayden Pond?
Is there anyone else like to be recognized at this time? Thank you. Our first item of business this evening, actually I'm going to suggest that we divert the order of items here, please, due to someone else having present in the audience. I'd like to move item G, to be first on the agenda, if you're all acceptable with that.
Yep.
Yes. All right, then we will do that. And item G is review and take possible action, South Fifth Street right-of-way improvements, and I'll hand it over to our public works director.
Right, great. Thanks for bumping this one up in the agenda. So some history and some background on this one. In May, this commission reviewed the right-of-way improvements associated with the proposed development at 1013 South Fifth Street. At the time, the commission determined that both the cost and administration of the project would fall to the subdivider or to the developer. The commission also noted that TID 7 funding could be requested for this project, but that would have to go through the finance committee. So on June 10th, the finance committee approved the use of TID 7 funds to support right-of-way improvements along the 1000 block of South Fifth Street. This is pending a budget amendment, which is slated to go to council in July. So the First Brigade Band is the proposed developer of this site. The band has expressed a desire to begin work soon, as they both secured materials and a contractor for this project. Following the June 10th meeting, city staff, including Mayor Stocks, engineering department staff, economic development, and building safety and zoning, met with the representatives of the band to discuss a path forward. Under the current understanding, for the public right-of-way improvements is administration would be on the developer, that's securing a design firm, a contractor to design and build the road. Following discussions with the developer, city staff believes there may be some efficiencies in both cost and project schedule if the city were to lead the design and the construction of these improvements. This includes reducing design review cycles, the back and forth between the developer, their engineer, and our department for making sure city standards are met. We could then incorporate work into the annual street and utility reconstruction program in 2026, getting bid volume discounts, and then again, ensuring city street and utility standards are met for the project. So at this time, we're seeking feedback on whether to administer the project directly with city staff. Staff does have availability to complete this design project, hire a consultant to oversee that design in 2025, and then potentially bid in 2026. So we're seeking if that's an option here, considering the time and cost potential savings.
All right. We'll just open up to a general discussion first before a motion is necessary. Ready? Comments or questions from commission members? So in short, your recommendation is to have the city play a larger role in this in order to make it go more quickly and at a lower cost. And it's going to be funded by TID funding, which is really taxpayer funding. So
Correct.
I think there is a city interest in achieving those cost reductions. Other thoughts?
I think it's well worth the effort to have the city take it over and administer it.
Any other thoughts?
This would make a quicker timeline of the process.
Yes, yeah, particularly in the design aspect.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Do I hear a motion to approve city staff taking the role recommended by staff?
So moved.
I would second that.
Second by,
Myron.
right? Comments or questions on the motion?
And with that, would allow them to begin construction prior to street improvements, or
Correct.
the First Brigade Band at least.
That's correct.
All right, any other comments or questions on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion carries.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
All right, we will now resume our normal agenda order and return to item A, which is review and take possible action, approve new water rates as recommended by the Wisconsin Public Service Commission referenced in rate case docket 6230-WR-110, a final overall rate change of 15.28% over current rates.
Okay, thank you. Is back on the agenda. We left it off with the public hearing on May 21st, and there were no members of the public who joined or made comments regarding the proposed rate increase. On May 28th, the final decision, which is included in the packet, was provided by the PSC, and they authorized the rate change of 15.28% over the current rates. I'm open for discussion on this topic right now.
Members?
Questions by the commission members?
Go ahead. Barbs?
Yeah, Pete, on the, in the documentation included with this, on page 9, there are comments there regarding the, about 3/4 of the way down, it refers to, I'll just read it. The larger increase in the PFP charge results from the greater portion of the annual operating costs being allocated to fire protection compared to what was allocated at the time of the applicant's last rate proceeding and is based on the current ratios of maximum general service demand to available system fire protection capacity. The larger increase in the PFP charge is reasonable in that it reflects the cost of providing service appropriately. Then further on page, one second here. I think it's page 14, they actually do show where the public fire protection increase over present rates is 33.34%. You may have discussed this last time, but I was hoping to get a recap on why that's the biggest part. That is obviously the biggest part of the change, the rate increase. If you could maybe give a little bit further explanation as to what's going on.
Sure. I wasn't here in 2017 when the last rate case was approved. I do know over the last 8 years that in preparation of the budget, the PSC has an allocation of wages and benefits spread all over between everything that we do. And to simplify, time cards and staff allocated time towards certain duties and tasks, there are 4 distribution team members and a crew leader. So there's 5 individuals whose wages are split around. Every water utility employee has wages split, but these particular ones were split into mains, transmission, distribution, services, and hydrants. So it was split up evenly amongst those as I looked at time cards and things over the years, and things seemed pretty equal overall. That was a change from years past on how the wages were spread around. That was something that I brought up in our conversation with PSC about, well, it appears that your numbers are coming back this high due to the changes in how the budget is presented. That number can be manipulated. I can move the number into other accounts. We could push it out of hydrants. Overall, that wouldn't change the rate increase. It would show up in other areas in the budget. And it didn't appear that that would have mattered a whole lot. It does show that it is in the public fire protection because that is where the wages are, or percentage of them. That's what was different.
Go make a comment. We've had numerous discussions on this in the last several weeks. It's got immediately to my attention as well.
Right.
And I think the key points I've finally worked it through. So number one, it's been 8 years since the last rate increase. And that's not because the costs weren't going up the entire time, just skipped ahead. And the key difference is that an internal accounting change 8 years ago, they didn't put much staff time in to the charges that the commission would have recognized as being public fire protection related. But now we split the wages out more evenly across the functions. And so as a result, it creates a look like you had a huge surge in the amount of time spent in this, but it's not a huge surge in the amount of time spent. It's a change in the way that we were allocating the dollars for paperwork purposes, essentially. And more importantly, like you, what drew my interest was that huge percentage increase in the charge. But as having worked it through a number of times, in the end, it doesn't impact what the final increase is. You could move money out of public fire protection into the other functions. And if you were then to increase those accordingly, according to the commission's calculations, we'd still come out with a 15.28% increase.
It would
Still
go
work out the same increase. It's just where would the increase fall within the commission's calculation of it.
I think that's a good way to sum it up.
So
It would then be hit in the volume charge is where it
Right.
would be a larger increase on your consumption of the water itself.
so,
That the public fire protection charge can come from the general fund and not be included on the utility bill. Watertown made the decision years ago to put it on the utility bill. Some communities do not have that particular charge associated with your water bill.
So for me, having worked it through again through my head a couple times, I'm come down to a few key things. One, it's been 8 years since the last increase. I'll just say it's unfortunate that we waited so long, because now it's going to come across as a big increase all at once when 8 years at essentially 1.75% increase per year. That's what 15.28 is. It's 1 3/4% every year. That is less than the rate of inflation on an annual basis over those 8 years. So I'll just say, it's not that the city couldn't and probably shouldn't have done it over the preceding 5 or 6 years. I think they should have, but we waited. Here we are. This is the amount that is necessary. This is the amount the state recommends that we do. And I think that's where we are. That's my thoughts.
So some of the other fire protection things is when we do road projects and we put in water mains, not just the hydrants, the mains themselves are larger, and we loop and we provide that fire protection component of the water in the mains being able to be used. So we do have a minimum size now of 8-inch versus 6-inch water mains. It doesn't cost a lot more to do that, but when we do our street projects, we were replacing the mains, which is related to fire protection throughout the city.
Other comments or questions from commission members? Mr. Blanky.
Several. The first is, I guess, what you just said clears it up a little, but the financial impact portion of the memo says an increase in water revenue is estimated to be $803,853. This will help the utility maintain pace with the annual streets and utility program and replace water mains, water services, valves, and hydrants. The utility will also be replacing an estimated 445 public side lead water services by the end of 2027. So is that how the fire protection portion fits into this? Is that how we're figuring it with the hydrants and the water mains?
Yes, you can say that makes sense, to say that this part of that increase to public fire protection does include us replacing water mains on the streets when they are, scheduled for replacement. Even when we're talking about mill and pave with Andrew and our team, the questions that come up right away are, how are the water mains? We can look at the age of it, but maybe the size isn't adequate anymore. For instance, over on Johnson Street by the YMCA and Rock River Ridge, when those streets come up, we're going to need water mains there. So that's a part of it. The lead services, our portion is estimated to be $2.9 million for the public side lead services. We also have the other component for the private side, if we're going to stick to, in this conversation, we'll come back to the commission, of a no cost for all of the homeowners that are impacted by this, approximately 1,000, not all of which get a principal forgiveness in our loan, coming to a total of $1.25 million. Currently, the investment that the water utility has can cover those costs. Although that is a large sum of money and will bring us down to what we consider our safe minimum balance, so about $2.75 million, a 6-month supply of money coming in and going out.
If I just have a follow-up question, verify for me. So
Yes,
when we're looking at the rate increase, we're only looking at costs that are incurred by our water utility, not by any other portions of city government. In terms of other construction projects in other parts of the city. So I do know that there's some administrative costs that we flow through at a city level, but we're not paying for the fire station with this rate increase.
no, we are not. In the rate file, it's very clear on what the water utility pays for and what it does not. So this rate increase, the money that is coming in is all to the water utility, a separate enterprise fund. It has to be spent on operations for the water utility.
Good others.
Yes. Are we required to go with the recommendation from the PSC, or can we alter it?
I asked that question. This commission has the power to set their own rates. You do not have to approve the PSC recommendation.
And my follow-up to that is, what would the impact be if we did not follow the recommendation from the PSC? Is there any penalty?
No, there wouldn't be a monetary penalty. The water utility would have to start all over again and review the rates through a study and an application. Part of the reason why this rate increase was started was we were required to do so for the private lead service replacement program to get the loan. A requirement because of the time, as Tony explained, in between the last rate increase and now was too long without any adjustments. So a requirement to apply for the loan was to petition the PSC with an application to review the rates. So this is the result of that. I don't know the impact if this commission decides not to do this, how that impacts the loan. That is, the wheels are moving fast with that one. And we will soon be presented with the financial assistance agreement. There's 4 different ones from the DNR. I believe those would still be issued, and then we would have to start this over about how is the utility going to pay for the lead services and the contractor they just hired. As you know, we hired Firestar Energy for $7.5 million for the next 3 years to do all the remaining lead services.
When Ellers put this study together, which resulted in this rate change recommendation from the PSC, they had mentioned that if we don't change rates today, we're likely going to have to do a larger increase later. So I'd anticipate if it's not increased to this 15.28%, it's going to be larger down the road. Is that fair?
Another comment Ellers provided on when I asked this question, and I asked the PSC as well. They said what might sour your relationship with the PSC. And the next time they review things, I guess I'm not sure how that would go.
So I guess my concern is, and I understand your point that we haven't done it in 8 years. And over the course of 8 years, it's a 1.7% increase each year. That to me is a reasonable increase year to year. That's lower than the rate of inflation. However, a 15% increase at once hits hard. Is there any way we can divide this up and spread this out? I mean, you know, wages are increasing at roughly 3%. Is there any way we can spread this out over the course of several years to still have the desired effect of being solvent, yet making it a little bit more palatable to the residents.
So my interpretation of that is that's the same question as proposing a different rate, in which case we would have to go through another similar study that shows that we're going to meet our obligations under that revised rate increase structure.
I believe that sounds right. Yes. So if, let's
Mr. Chairman?
say you cut it in half.
Mr. Moldenauer?
Could we find out, exactly what that would do as far as the loan? If we were to, let's say, pay half or take half? And, go with just, instead of the 15, go with half of that? If that would affect our loans? And just do half of that at once? If we could still do the loans or not, if it would affect the loans, then I would propose we just do it and have it over with. We're gonna have to bite the bullet somewhere. If we want to get those loans and get that thing taken care of. And I would suggest from this point on that we do the rate increases every year and we don't hold anything back and just have it over with. By holding them back, we're all gonna have the same problem.
Another. Do we think that that is a question to which we can get an answer to in a short order of time?
I don't know. I can ask. We have a 90-day timeline from May 25th to implement. If no decision is made, the rates will not be implemented.
All right, so
And
we're at 30 right now.
we're at 30. I can make a call tomorrow to our consultant
And let's
and
just-
ask the DNR loan specialist who I've been in contact with.
And let's see, when it comes to implementation here, this is a resolution at council level, not an ordinance? Yes?
This particular rate increase.
Yeah.
It's action by this commission. Based on the action of this commission, there's the implementation of new rates, which I fill out and submit and include it as part of the docket that authorizes it. But that
This
comes,
doesn't go from here to council to approve?
no, this commission has the final say.
Okay. Not what I remember, but okay. I'm just trying to think of timeline, so if we were to table this until the next commission meeting, then that takes us to basically 45 days out of our 90 days. And would leave sufficient time to us to make a decision. And of course, I don't know if you can get an answer by then, but I'm just trying to play this out and mentally to see whether it seems like we have enough time to at least take a moment
Right.
to ask the question.
Right.
But we may have to prepare ourselves for the answer for that question may not be something that can be easily found.
But it's worth at least exploring.
Right.
Yeah, and yeah.
So let me clarify the 90 days. Well, I guess it could change the pending the decision tonight. We have 2 billing cycles. The billing cycle is what they're also looking at.
Right, okay.
Cycle 2 begins on July 2nd. Cycle 1 begins on July 16th. So the plan was to have those beginning dates be the new rate date on the bill. If that changes the timeline there, there could be a pro rate on the bill instead of a non-pro rate. Because the beginning date would have to be within that 90 days.
Beginning date, so, but again, just play it out, our next commission meeting would be
July 8th.
the 8th?
8th. Yeah.
So you could potentially move forward those billing cycles from instead of being those 2 in July to being the first one being in July and the next one being the first billing cycle in August. Both of those would still fall within the 90 days of May 25th because we had till August 25th or August 20. 90 days, August 23rd. So I
Yeah,
think you'd
so
still be okay.
I think we still would be okay.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone to a time definite
Okay.
of our next meeting on July 8th to give staff time to get the answers to the questions proposed tonight.
All right. There's been a motion to postpone to a time definite of July 8th. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I love that she used the right language.
We got scolded for using table too much.
Yeah. Um,
All right.
May I ask a question? Is there a number you have in mind that I can propose to the DNR and the consultant? That may make a difference.
Well, perhaps you'd start with the idea of could we implement it in a 2-year span rather than a 1-year span?
Right,
Even just breaking it in half.
right.
Understood.
So,
As it exists now, it's all at the very first cycle.
yep. Yep. All right. There are actually no questions on motion to postpone to time definite. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. All right, our next item, I'm going to return actually to what I skipped, was review and approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Bartz. Is there a second?
Second.
Comments or questions on the motion?
I was not there. I just
Oh.
don't know how that reads.
Okay, I will fix that.
Grammars.
Yep. That will be corrected. Any other comments or questions on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. All right, review and take possible action, sideware repair order for 620 Park Street. Do I hear a motion to issue that order?
So moved.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Comments or questions on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is item C. Review and take possible action, approve additional work for Applied Technologies to update the wastewater facilities plan with the most recent Department of Administration population numbers for a cost of $35,000.
So we are back. Our last meeting was on March 11th regarding this, when I presented the results of the DNR rejecting the plan due to the Department of Administration numbers that we had used in the end of 2024, which were the ones available. They came out with their new numbers in 2025, January 2nd, I believe, which they cited as us using the wrong numbers, although we used the ones that were available. So this commission had asked City Attorney Cheesebro to review this and provide an opinion. I was unable to get an opinion from the attorney. I asked several times. What I found is that the DOA population suggests that Watertown will see just over 10% decrease over the next 20 years from 2020 to 2040. This is in contrast with the city's comprehensive plan showing about a 13% decrease. But what's worth noting is the population value reported by the DOA for 2020 is 19,330, and that does not match the city population estimate for 2022, which is 24,357. So that's a difference of nearly 5,000 people or greater than 20%. So the DOA numbers, I don't really follow their numbers and things. I mean, they're already citing incorrect data in this result. Ultimately, our UV project will be on hold without an update to the facilities plan. Anything we do now at the wastewater treatment facility on upgrades of equipment will be on hold until we have an approved facilities plan. To get the approved facilities plan, Applied Technologies needs to rerun the mass loading calculations with the number projections provided by the DOA's most recent report. So looking in that crystal ball of their report, I can sum it up like this, as I provided some. Our treatment plant currently has a design average of 5.2 million gallons per day. The estimated 2047 average flow using the city's comprehensive population figure is 3.19 million gallons per day, below the rated design flow for the treatment plant. If we use the DOA population projection, the estimated average flow will be 2.68 million gallons per day, still below the current rated design flow. Since the rated design flow for the facility is not affected by population, don't see a whole lot of reason why we're being rejected by the DNR based on this DOA number. So Applied Technologies has provided a quote, $35,000 to update the plan. And I guess was hoping we had an opinion to go by. So I don't know, maybe we don't have a case here at all. The city was provided the numbers in October, but they weren't distributed outside of to the counties. I had asked around and our clerk received those, but she's not directed to provide them to any departments. We weren't asking for them. I didn't know they were there, but had I known the city had those, we would have used them. We just didn't know that they were available. I didn't.
I just have a
So
question where I'm looking for clarification on something. The DOA is projecting the population of the city of Watertown to decrease by 10%.
yes, over the next 20 years. However, the number they use for 2020 is already 5,000 less than what we have.
I'm not, I guess we're not here to debate that question, but it seems like some bureaucrat just wants a T crossed and an I dotted. And based on that, I'll make a motion that we approve the contract for $35,000 to update the plan.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. My comments are things I know. I know that you can't argue with the state's number. I know that when they need to check a box, they need to check a box. And I know that whether that box has any bearing on where things actually work does not matter. And all three of those things are true here.
Exactly.
So we are stuck having to deal with their rules and their numbers, and in the end, it won't impact the plan, but somebody will check the box of, oh, you use the state's numbers. Okay.
But at some point, would the improvements that we would make with a lesser population in the future be detrimental because our population is actually already started higher and may even go higher? And so volumetrically, functionality, we're not going to have it because the plan is based on a lower population.
What's important to point out here is our current design is 5.2 million gallons per day. Anything that we're doing has to meet the current design. Equipment that we're putting in has to meet current design, current permitted limits. So the things we're looking at doing with pumps and controls and everything, it doesn't matter what the design flow is because we have to match what our current is. So the DNR, as I've asked many questions to them about how silly I think this whole thing is, told me, don't worry, we're not asking you to downsize your treatment plant. And I said, well, these numbers don't add up to me. What we're proposing to do isn't going to change. If I can use your analogy, if you check that box,
And our current flow again was what?
5.2
That's what,
million.
that's our capacity. What's our current?
Correct. That is the design average flow capacity, 5.2. Our current flow today, we were reading 3.5, which is pretty average.
5%.
Or it's 50% less, or yeah.
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 It's-
So
we'd have to
our
increase by 50% in order to get the flow.
Our
Yes.
flows go up and down quite often. With the rain, they go up and come back down.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, they're not gonna ask us to resize, they're not gonna use that as a constraint when we come back to ask for equipment upgrades on our current system.
correct.
Understood.
And I agree, none of it truly makes sense. That's the
for-
fourth thing I know about the state.
Around $35,000.
All right. Any other comments or questions on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, review and take possible action, award South Church Street Shared Use Path TAP Grant Design Project to Batterman for $228,039, designed for a shared use path between Jefferson Road and Air Park Drive.
All right, thank you. So the city's been applying for this TAP grant since 2016. In 2024, we received notification that we were successful in, I think it was our fourth application for this particular project. It's a shared use path that connects Jefferson Road, kind of the quick trip on South Church Street, to the Air Park Drive shared use path. It's currently not served with bike or pedestrian facilities. Our Bike and Pedestrian Path Planning Task Force identified this project as the #1 ranked infrastructure project on kind of the identified list of projects through that group. So our engineering division put together a request for proposals, meeting TAP grant requirements. This is a pretty complicated shared use path project. It's not just connecting point A and point B with a sidewalk. There are needed storm sewer modifications, potential wetland impacts, the need for a modular block retaining wall, maybe some cultural and historical studies that are needed here. So we received a number of proposals. These were ranked, scored. We interviewed the top 4 candidates. Of those 4, RH Batterman ranked the highest. We opened the cost proposal following the notification to Batterman that they were our top ranked firm, following the qualification-based selection process as required by this grant. The cost for the design project is $228,039. This is under the budget that we had earmarked for this project. I think we had a little over $300,000 in the budget spread over 2 years. So we're within our budget estimate for the project. The SMFA is attached, which kind of gives some of the project details, the cost breakdowns, things like that. And then Batterman's fee and scope proposals attached as well.
Comments or questions from commission members, please?
I may have just missed it in the packet, but the $228,000, is that the city's full responsibility? Is that part of the grant? Does that go towards our portion of the grant of the 80/20?
Good question. No, design is 100% locally funded. And that was recommended by WISDOT, the grant staff, to be more competitive in the construction side, which is the bigger dollar amount.
So effectively, our cost could be nearly $550,000. between the 20% and this.
Yes.
There's a lot of things in city government that give me sticker shock. And $1.5 million for a sidewalk, sorry, a glorified sidewalk is one of them. The thing is, I've seen people walking in that area on the side of the road often, and it's dangerous. And there is no connection to Air Park Drive on either the east or west side of the airport. So as much as this is a big sticker shock, I think that this project does need to get done.
I agree with you. I get uncomfortable every time I'm driving into town on Business 26 and I see people along the side of the road, either on a bicycle or on foot. And I'll say even a couple of them with strollers, and that makes me severely uncomfortable. One thing that was not entirely clear for me from the documentation is what are we doing given the road that's sitting right next to? What additional safety measures are intended to be part of the design that will truly enhance the safety of it rather than having people, I mean, it'll be a big deal to not have them right next to the road. That's a huge deal, right? But like, what else are we doing right there as part of the design?
Sure. And a lot of those details will likely follow a lot of what we talked about with firms, is maybe putting curb and gutter into the shoulder to, reduce that clear zone requirement that the state looks for vehicles going off the road, kind of a barrier there.
Yeah.
Or, some kind of physical barrier, or just an eyesight barrier.
Okay. Other comments or questions from commission members?
That's a lot of money.
It is.
And
But
do you know how they came up with the initial construction estimate included in the state agreement?
Yes, so I believe that was based on the grant application. That included, I'd have to look into it in more detail, but the engineering division put together that cost estimate, and there are contingencies built into that number as well.
It's always hard to estimate a cost before you design the design. And, I'm familiar with these where there is a maximum cap. Anything above and beyond that is also the city's responsibility. So
Yeah.
to have a good number to start with is critical.
So for the members of the commission are also members of council. We're doing this because of the economic activity that is occurring at the end of this stretch that we're talking about here. That TID recently closed out with excess funds to the city. Some of those funds are most definitely committed by the city already. The others, there has been a list of projects that are proposed to potentially use them for, but council has not taken any formal action to approve such list. I could hardly think of one more appropriate for the use of those funds than this project, because it's actually going to mitigate the impact of that development. So I would like to plant that seed with my fellow council members here, that when the discussion of those TID funds comes back up, and it will, that we think very hard about advocating strongly to move this project to the top of the list for the utilization of those leftover TID funds.
And one other thing, there is, I mean, currently there's a lot of traffic, there's a lot of residential and development that's not connected by any footpath. There's also, it was in front of Plan Commission months ago, a plan for the old Huron Landing site. If you're familiar with that, that's across from Walmart and Barris Brothers.
Yes.
A very large residential apartment development there. So there's going to be even more people in that area. So to your point with the TID funding to service that area along with what is planned and is a very high likelihood development.
All right. Is there a motion? Looking for a motion to recommend awarding the design project to Batterman for $228,039.
I'll make that motion.
Moved. Is there a second? I will get it to move us along. I'm seconding. Comments or questions on the motion to recommend? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Next is an update with no action required. It is an update on our e-waste recycling program.
Hello. I come to you with good news. I don't want money. I'm hopefully going to bring us more money. The recycling world is ever changing, and we have found a company who is going to do our e-waste recycling for us by us no longer having to pay for all of the items that we turn in. We still have to pay for some of them, like things that contain Freon and refrigerants. We'll have to pay for that, but other ones we are getting literally pennies on the pound, but we're getting money versus having to pay for disposal. So I'm just bringing this as an update to the commission. It is our hope to change the fee schedule, charging residents what we charge them. Ones, I think in your packet, I think I gave you some of the changes that we would like to do to the charges. The one off the top of my head, that's one of the biggest ones, are like TVs. We are now currently paying 35 to get rid of them, 35 plus shipping. Actually, I pay more than that. Our division pays out more than that right now. We charge residents 35. That's one item that they're gonna pay us a few cents per pound to take them for us. So that's an item on the list I'd like to change, but to do that, I have to go through changing the fee schedule, taking it to finance and coming with a resolution. So that is in the works. So hopefully charges will be eliminated on some things for residents. So should be good. Should affect our bottom line budget wise too, that we're not paying out as much as we're getting in. So just wanted to update the commission on that. So.
Comments from commission members?
Just a question, on the fee schedule that you provided, it's in page 82 of our packet. I don't want to assume, but I see things lined out and boxed. So am I to understand that what you're looking for with the new fee schedule is that it would simply be dehumidifiers, air conditioners, refrigerators and freezers, and then standalone copiers
Yep,
that
so in
citizens
that
will
order.
still have to pay?
Yep. The rest of it should all be no charge. All the
Um,
small appliances. I mean, and those are minimal fees, but they're still fees that we're charging to residents. Like I said, a lot of other ones that people, are unhappy with are the computers and monitors, and those are $10 each. So if you have a monitor and the base, I mean, that's $20. So hopefully those can go away. I did change, if we're going to update this, I did under the mattresses and box spring, want to lower that. Our recycling company, we are not recycling those where we used to. So it is adjusted according to landfill fees. So I wanted to do it all in one shot. So those are coming down in price too for residents.
I just,
Recycling's expensive.
I wanted to say thank you for this because it's not often that we get to eliminate fees as a municipality. Normally, we're having to raise or add fees. So to get rid of these, and granted, most of them aren't paid by people on a regular basis, but to be able to get rid of your TV without having to pay for it is,
Yeah.
it's a great thing for the city.
And it's not a huge problem of it dumping on the sides of the roads, but it's there. I mean, our yard waste site, the corner on Boomer Street, gets little presents left for us there occasionally. So hopefully that'll get rid of some of that too, so.
Mhm.
How good or longstanding has this company been going?
Somebody's gonna ask me that. And that is one of the reasons why I don't always listen to the sales pitches of many of these companies, because they come and go pretty fast. Because 1 minute the recycling is great and they want to do this, business, and then it goes away. These guys have been in over 10 years, I want to say. They do a lot of big municipalities in our area, so counties.
Yeah,
So,
good.
I'll just repeat Alderman Blanky's comment and say thank you. For me personally, about a month late because I got rid of 5 TVs that are a month ago.
Oh,
But
no.
it's all right.
Yeah, and it's hard to be like, can you just hold on to that for a little bit? I can't really do that because I still gotta pay to get rid of them, but. So, all right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Mhm.
And our last item of business is to review and take possible action, hire Strand Associates to prepare engineering plan and profile specifications to bid the project in early 2026 for $360,000.
Okay, this goes back well over a year, to February of 2024. Was brought forward to the commission as our city team identified 12th Street as a potential project for rehab and restoration. We knew we had this Alderman lift station that has been served its life, and then some in addition to a Basin 18 where the Hitty lift station is. So this project it was underway and in October of last year, the preliminary engineering report, which was included in the packet again, was presented and we talked about it. We did apply for the application at that time. After that meeting, not too long ago in May of this year, we met again as our team to identify the capital improvement projects for 2026, and 12th Street is in the plans for rehab and restoration. The preferred route, the least expensive route for the new force main of this lift station and a complete rehab of the lift station goes down 12th Street from Boomer Street to Air Park Drive, where it would dump into the manhole in the intersection there and direct all the flow to our south interceptor and take all of that flow away from Basin 18. So that was part of the plan. I had sent this along to Andrew. We had some conversation a little bit back and forth regarding the price and the plan and that Strand has presented. We had a few follow-up questions. And I don't know if Andrew, you have any input here to add?
No, you're doing great.
Okay. So we felt that this was appropriate to bring back, looking for approval to hire Strand to keep this project moving forward on track with getting the force main and our work done before the road is restored and other work is done on 12th Street.
Comments or questions from commission members? So I do know that area has long been a problem.
There are a lot of issues at that lift station. It runs, but safety wise and the setup and the amount of flow that it's serving from based on the design of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the issue. It's the,
Yeah.
and occasional surges in flow that overwhelm it. So,
Well, the bullet point list of constructed in 1963 to service 20 homes. And where was it currently servicing 197 homes?
right.
And it's 60 plus years old.
Yeah.
So it's been well used.
I'd make a motion to accept the proposal from Strand to do the engineering plans for the project for $360,000.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Hertz, comments or questions on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. There being no other items of business before this body this evening. I will-
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
just
please.
one question.
Yes.
Could I ask a question of you? When is section of the road on 12th Street going out on Highway X toward Arrow Drive? When is that going to be? Is that going to be on a a schedule to be fixed out that way? Or planned that way?
So
But
20,
careful not to. I'm gonna ask you, because it's not on the agenda,
Okay.
if you could send that in an email
Or if that's gonna be done.
to our Public Works.
If that's in the
Director.
planning, you know, just planning.
Yeah, so if you could send an email to the Public Works Director.
Okay,
Or otherwise call
fine.
him, but since it's not on the agenda, I can't.
Okay, I'll talk to
Okay.
Talk to Mr. Byer.
However you need to do it. Sorry.
to adjourn.
Okay. Second? No
I'll
movement?
second.
Okay, thank you.
I thought you were seconding it.
Whatever.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned. 6:31.
I had to bring this with me from Plan Commission.